Hi, and welcome back to Thone's Hebrews Nibbles number 112, The Heavenly Hope, part 1 of 2. And the part today is the faith about many earthly and spiritual things. And this comes from Hebrews chapter 11, verses 13 through 16. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. And this is all about promises. Why is this in the Bible? Well, it's the understanding of faith over time. Faith is something that we all need and all have if we're saved. However, the things that we need to be faithful to or believe in faithfully vary as time goes on. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in this and coming lessons. And understand, the communication here is the long trip to the land of promise. The land of promise wasn't just around the corner. The land of the promise wasn't even just around the century. The land of promise was a concept long, long before it was a reality. Application to me. God promises many different things to those who follow him. For example, he promised some people they would have a son. To others, they would inhabit a certain area of land. In the second case, many of the men and women were promised the promised land. They understood that this promise was for distant offspring, not for them personally. After Abraham got the promise, his fourth generation son rescued the family to Egypt. That was, of course, Joseph. After that, and that's his fourth, so that's his great grandson. There were 400 years after that while they were in Egypt. Then 40 years of wandering around the desert before Abram's family came to possess the land of promise. During all that time, the faith carried this family forward. They believed God would provide his promise to them. So think that 440 years after Abraham's great grandson was when the land of promise actually was received. So we see that this is a distant thing. God says, I do things at the proper time. And that's what we have to understand about this, is that God does keep his promises at when it's the right time to do them. God says, okay, then my personal response, Lord, thank you for giving these examples that we should follow to help our patience as we wait on the residence with you in heaven. So we can look at that same promise, and we know that we saved people have been promised a place to live in heaven. And that's been true for a long, long time, that each generation has been promised that. And so these examples of how long it took to get to the promised land are just an example for us to know that we too will have to wait until the promise is ready to be fulfilled. So we'll talk to you next time.